Your safety comes first with the First Alert Radar Network. First just got faster.
But it was just something about that day. It just happened too quick.
First tonight, a co-worker speaking out on the shocking moments that led up to the death of a young contractor working a club car.
It could have been avoided.
Now it plays over and over in her mind.
Hallie Turner joining us live in the newsroom. And Hallie, this is the first time we're hearing firsthand from a witness what happened that day at Club Car.
Yeah, what stands out to her the most is how fast the accident happened. But the moment that has stayed with her, replaying in her mind, she says over and over.
I can't tell you for the life of me what made her go under there, why she went under there still. Like, I don't know.
Faye Smith says she's been at Club Car for nearly 4 years, and Alyssa Drinker has been by her side for one of them until last week when a tragic accident took Alyssa's life. Alyssa dropped an AirPod and then went under a running machine, apparently to get it.
She's on her side finishing her bucket. I'm on my side finishing my bucket. And she walked up to me. She said, "Dang it, I just dropped my AirPods." And I said, "Where'd you drop them?" She said, "Well, one fell down there." And she had her other one. She clicked her case. And she was like, "Well, I'll just get some more."
Faye said she didn't know that was the last time she would ever speak to Alyssa.
Before I know it, I look up and I'm kind of just like Alyssa. And for the most part, I felt in my spirit something just told me to look down. The only thing I did see was just her arm and her Apple Watch, and just a lot of blood. The blood just was continuously coming.
The Columbia County Coroner's report says Alyssa's head was stuck between two metal bars under the conveyor belt, with her neck pinned against the lower bars. Faye says she did the only thing she knew to do, press the red e-stop button, but she says the machine didn't stop completely.
It terrified me a lot because I still see it. I just hate that we couldn't get to her sooner. I hate that the e-stop buttons weren't working, because I know for a fact, being in the bucket area, the side e-stop buttons don't work. Only the front ones work.
She did eventually completely. Workers started taking it apart and called 911. Drinker was freed from the machine and pronounced dead at Doctors Hospital. OSHA is investigating the accident at Club Car, a standard protocol for accidents on job sites. But following last Friday's deadly accident, Club Car released a statement saying their thoughts are with families and friends and workers impacted by this loss. Club Car says it is working with authorities and the contractor in an investigation to find out what led to the incident.
Just a gut-wrenching story. Just feel for both of those girls.
One she will never forget. Hallie Turner in our newsroom there. To weather now in Riley.
Hey guys, one thing over 10 minutes.
Breaking news just into the newsroom at 6 o'clock. One Columbia County deputy is in custody after allegedly allowing inmates to use a cell phone he brought into the area. Riley Peters was fired today for the incident that happened on March 13th. According to the sheriff's office, an inmate said he heard about possible Cash App payments in exchange for the phone use. The pod went into lockdown. They searched it. Peters is charged with violation of his oath of office and telecommunication device to an inmate. He was employed as a deputy jailer since January 2nd of this year. No one was hurt after a truck ran into not one, but two houses in Jones Crossing over in Evans. This was the scene around 12:30. A witness told deputies the female driver picked up speed and never stopped. The sheriff's office says the driver was conscious at the time. At last check, the truck was still inside the home because an architect is needed to survey and stabilize those impacted areas.
An 18-year-old wanted in connection to Saturday's shooting on Barbara Road in Richmond County. Deputies believe Javon Doe shot two people during this fight. One was hit in the face, the other shot in the rear. Doe is considered armed and dangerous. If you know anything of where Doe might be, call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Tonight, the VA is considering a change that could make it easier for veterans exposed to Agent Orange to get benefits. The I-Team's Meredith Anderson joins us with details that could help thousands of veterans all across the nation.
And this hits close to home, literally. News 12 uncovered maps showing Agent Orange was sprayed at Fort Eisenhower, known then as Fort Gordon. And now the VA is looking to put Fort Eisenhower on the list of locations where veterans stationed there during that time could automatically receive benefits. Tonight, for the first time, Our cameras can show you exactly where Agent Orange was sprayed. Fort Eisenhower is about 56,000 acres, but we're talking only about a small fraction of that, just 40 to 50 acres, located almost smack dab in the middle. You could call Camp Crockett a blip on Fort Eisenhower's radar. Soldiers started training for Vietnam here in 1967, but the Army abandoned it just a short time later. The mock Vietnamese villages might have been temporary, but what happened on this remote part of post left a permanent mark on hundreds, maybe even thousands of veterans.
We didn't know what we were working with.
Veterans like James Cripps.
Agent Orange back then didn't even have the name Agent Orange.
And for years, the government denied Agent Orange was ever tested here, until James Cripps became the very first person to ever prove he was exposed to it, not in the jungles of Vietnam, but here on Fort Eisenhower.
My military service was easy. The fight with the VA lasted 5 times as long and was 10 times as hard.
His winning claim, and this map News 12 uncovered more than a decade ago, exposing agents blue, orange, and white were tested right here in our own backyard, continue to help other veterans win their claims of exposure, like this one we heard from Joseph Webb. Your stories and my research helped get me 100% VA compensation. Court cases online also show veterans submitting our I-Team investigations as evidence supporting their claim. Today, Camp Crockett is now a field with some concrete slabs where Quonset huts used to be. We're told the land pretty much sat empty after 1969, and it was overgrown by the time the Army cleared it in 1997 to use it for field medical training. Regional medical training happens here today, using those slabs as a base for tents. Mobile cyber units train here too. We're told it looks nothing like it would have looked back in the 60s.
It was an overflow camp. They didn't have running water. And I can remember, especially on the weekends, they didn't have showers, so they would have to walk down to Lightner Lake, which sits right below Camp Crockett.
Lightner Lake is still there. It's a campground and recreation area now.
Little did they know, right upstream, I was up there spraying Agent Orange into those lakes.
Cripps says he's worried about the soldiers who had no idea they were exposed to the dangerous toxin. And he says he worries about the health of Fort Eisenhower in general.
So how are we going to say it's no longer in the soil at Fort Gordon, but we're spending billions of dollars in Vietnam cleaning up over there? It doesn't make sense.
The Army tests drinking water on Fort Eisenhower 2 times a year. According to Environmental Command, the last test was in June of 2023, but it's mainly testing for PFAS rates, or forever chemicals. The latest test results say levels were below the lab's ability to detect. The next test is scheduled for this month.
Some really interesting history not a lot of people even realize, but as for the VA and possible plans to expand that list of presumptive locations, the public comment period closed this week.
Of course, we'll track this for you. We'll keep you posted on its progress.
Still ahead, get ready to immerse yourself in some Georgia history. Our one-tank trip takes us back in time.
And we're bringing back the chance for rain tomorrow. Maybe a thunderstorm out there for us, but looking good for our parades by Saturday. Full forecast coming up. For your next 7 days, next week gets a little bit cooler. Mornings back down to the 30s by Tuesday.
Thank you, Riley. Old Fort Jackson near Savannah has seen a lot of action over the years, and you can see it for yourself.
Will Volk went there for this week's one-tank trip.
Old Fort Jackson has seen a lot.
Every ship that goes in or out of Savannah has to pass right by where the cannon are on top of the ramparts of our fort.
Its strategic location along the Savannah River made it an important fort for several wars.
We had soldiers out here in the American Revolutionary War, and the whitewashed bricks built behind me were built for the War of 1812, and then our fort was very active during the American Civil War.
Aaron Bradford works with the Coastal Heritage Society, which operates the fort today as a historic landmark. before they took over, this place was abandoned. The fort sat quiet for about 60 years, but that's not the case anymore.
Our fort's pretty unique in that we're able to have that consistency of every day doing musket cannon firing. So bring your rifle to your right side like you're playing a guitar.
I got my hands on an unloaded musket. Students on a field trip did too. Bradford says they want to give you a sense of what it was like for soldiers.
One of my fondest responses from a student was one who came here and said that I had such a good time that I'm reading ahead in my history book. So if we can spark an interest and a passion for history, especially with the next generation, to me that's very rewarding.
In Savannah, we'll vote on your side.
Well, that's a pretty good endorsement. And by the way, this weekend is the 200th anniversary of Savannah's first St. Patrick's Day parade.
The fort says they plan to fire a 200-year-old cannon in celebration. We may hear that all the way upstream.
Right, yeah, I imagine that's pretty loud. Well, as wait lists for services continue to grow, one new autism specialty clinic is opening the doors in Augusta. This top story and more next on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group.
I'm calling about Boy and Associates now.
Okay, take a look. Could this be the way people actually get around Augusta in the future? Check it out. This is called the Sky Drive, a 3-seat air taxi, sort of a human-sized drone. The company behind it cites faster flying, almost 5 times faster than your normal 35-minute commute on a train or a bus. And they say it's cheaper than a chopper. It's all part of a new partnership with Augusta Regional Airport and the SRNL Lab. Augusta Regional will be a test center for this new technology, which is at least a couple of years away, but pretty exciting stuff right there.
Yeah, I'd like to get from point A to point B in an air taxi.
Hop on board.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
A new clinic just opened up in Augusta called Autism Advocacy and Intervention. They work one-on-one to help autistic children meet their developmental milestones.
This new clinic is already expecting a full wait list. As Sydney Hood explains, the issue is not about having enough clinics, but enough therapists.
Like, we take for granted that we can look and talk to people and it's easy. But for a lot of autistic people and children, that is not the case.
The RBTs are what make the clinics. They're the ones doing the groundwork. They're the ones that are, on the floor with the kids every day. They're the ones that are greeting the parents and talking to the parents and telling the BCA, what's going on.
The empty rooms at Autism Advocacy and Intervention will soon provide applied behavior analysis.
We use a lot of play therapy. That's like a big part of our success, is that these kids are learning, but they're playing and they're gaining new skills and maybe some behaviors that might be difficult for parents.
There's just one problem.
There's just not enough people. There's not enough therapists in our area or in any other area. It's pretty critical.
Dr. Karen Carter says the services are here.
Sometimes there are very long waiting lists. Recently I had a child in clinic and we did all the right things. We did the right evaluations, we did the right paperwork, we sent it to the insurance company, and we still couldn't get the applied behavioral analysis for a year.
1 year waiting for services children with autism need to have a successful life. And the earlier the intervention, the better the outcome.
The more clinics there are that are offering these ABA services, the more availability there is to the community to have those services met without having to be on these long wait lists.
In Augusta, Sydney Hood on your side.
And they held open houses this week to get all of those new clinicians in and to get set up, so pretty exciting.
Yeah, and to find out more about them, head to our website, wrdw.com.
In Augusta, and remember, look for the red ribbon.
Hey, Brett, I think we need a jingle. What'd you have in mind? I don't know yet. Well, if you're taking something, come knock on my door. Come and knock on my door. If you're 64.
I'm Erin Moriarty, 48 Hours, and this is my life of crime.
Revisit the Lizzie Borden murders. Hear a horror story that hits close to home, and much more. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming up on the CBS Evening News, the Department of Health and Human Services is investigating what's been the biggest cybersecurity attack on America's healthcare system, the ripple effect it's having on providers and patients. That and more headlines tonight here on the CBS Evening News.
Well, looking ahead to the weekend forecast for parades on Saturday, they do look dry. Good news there. Same thing if you're heading to Savannah Saturday morning. By Sunday, we'll bring in our next cold front that will bring us the opportunity for a few showers, but definitely not a washout Sunday, just a chance for some light rain at times. Here's our rain chances for tomorrow. Remember, Friday, especially around midday into the afternoon, bring back that opportunity for a few hit and miss showers and possibly even a thunderstorm. Luckily, though, we're back to dry weather by Saturday. Once again, if you're heading to the parades on Saturday for Savannah, their start at 10 a.m. Going to be a little bit breezy, but nice day, right in the upper 60s right around parade start. For us here locally, 2 p.m. start in downtown Augusta. Those highs Saturday will be close to 80 degrees with just a few passing clouds. Should be really nice out there. For Sunday, temperatures drop just a tad as that rain does start to push in, and then we notice that temperature drop by early next week. Highs will drop off into the 60s. We'll wake back up into the 30s early Tuesday, Wednesday, so a little bit of a cool streak, but warm back up again by next Thursday.
We are live again at the top of the hour over on 26 News.
Then we're back with more News 12 tonight at 11. We'll see you there.
At the CBS Evening News, we focus on solutions, finding solutions to help people understand what are the right choices to make for you and your family. Another